A lot of B2B startups think growth comes from having a great product. But in reality, great products fail all the time without a clear go-to-market strategy. In crowded markets, launch and hope is expensive, slow, and hard to scale. In 2026, buyers are more informed, sales cycles are longer, and decision-making is more complex than ever. That means B2B startups need more than just a launch plan. They need a structured GTM strategy that defines who they sell to, what problem they solve, how they reach buyers, how they price, and how they generate predictable revenue. In this video, we'll break down the core elements of a strong B2B go-to-market strategy, the mistakes to avoid, and the practical steps that help startups build a repeatable path to growth. And if you want more practical business insights like this, subscribe to KonexusHub. Your GTM strategy lives or dies based on your ICP. The article makes it clear that SMBs or enterprise is too vague. Strong startups define their ideal customer with real precision: industry, company size, geography, tech maturity, budget ownership, pain points, and buying triggers. That level of clarity shapes everything else. It affects your messaging, your pricing, your sales qualification, your content, and even your product roadmap. The article's big point here is simple: it is better to dominate a narrow segment than to underperform across many. Once you know exactly who you serve, the next step is making the problem crystal clear. B2B buyers do not buy features. They buy outcomes. That's why the article recommends framing your message around the problem your ICP feels every day, the cost of doing nothing, and the business impact of solving it. A useful way to do that is through a before and after story. What does life look like without your solution? What changes once your product is adopted? And why are current alternatives inefficient or incomplete? That kind of positioning matters even more now because buyers do most of their research before they ever speak to sales. If your website and content do not clearly reflect the buyer's problem, they may disqualify you before the conversation even starts. And if your champion cannot explain your value in one sentence internally, your GTM motion will struggle. Now that the positioning is clear, the next question is how you actually bring the product to market. The article breaks GTM motions into 3 common models: product-led growth, sales-led growth, and hybrid. Product-led works best for lower ACV products with simple onboarding and fast time to value. Sales-led is better for high-value, complex deals with multiple stakeholders. Hybrid is increasingly common, where product drives demand and sales engages once intent is clear. The key idea is that your motion should match the economic reality of your product. If you force a sales-heavy approach onto a low-priced product, you create inefficiency. If you expect self-serve to work for a complex enterprise solution, you create friction. Good GTM strategy is not about copying trends. It is about fitting the model to the business. Pricing and packaging also play a major role here. The article highlights that buyers expect transparent pricing, flexible plans, and clear value tiers. Pricing is not just a finance decision. It is a GTM lever that affects adoption, conversion, and expansion. But having the right motion is not enough if nobody knows you exist or trusts your brand. One of the strongest points in the article is that lead generation alone is no longer enough. Strong GTM strategies in 2026 focus on demand generation, creating awareness, trust, and education before the buyer enters a purchase conversation. That means combining educational content, SEO, founder-led thought leadership, case studies, social proof, community, and partnerships. Instead of pushing for demos too early, you nurture buyers through problem awareness, solution education, vendor comparison, and then purchase readiness. This approach improves lead quality and can shorten sales cycles because buyers are already educated by the time they speak to your team. It also makes your brand more credible in a low-attention market where trust needs to be earned early. Once demand starts building, execution depends on whether your teams are actually working from the same playbook. The article highlights a common GTM mistake: marketing and sales operating separately. In a strong GTM setup, marketing defines the ICP and messaging, sales validates what is happening in real conversations, and both teams align on what a qualified lead looks like, when sales should engage, and which metrics matter most. It also stresses that GTM does not stop at the sale. Customer success, onboarding, retention, expansion, and advocacy are now core parts of the strategy, especially for subscription businesses. Structured onboarding, clear success milestones, and feedback loops help turn customers into case studies, referrals, and expansion revenue. And finally, the article recommends measuring the metrics that actually affect revenue predictability: CAC, LTV, funnel conversion rates, sales cycle length, churn, and expansion. Then review GTM regularly, refine the ICP, optimize channels, and improve efficiency over time. The most successful startups treat GTM as a living system, not a one-time document. Here are the big takeaways. First, a strong GTM strategy starts with a narrow, specific ICP. Second, your messaging should focus on business outcomes, not just product features. Third, your GTM motion has to match your pricing and product complexity. Fourth, demand generation matters more than just collecting leads. And fifth, GTM works best when marketing, sales, and customer success operate as one revenue engine. The article also warns against common mistakes: targeting too broad an audience, scaling sales before product-market fit, ignoring customer feedback, overcomplicating pricing, and treating GTM as a marketing-only exercise. Avoiding those mistakes can save a startup time, capital, and momentum. The main message is clear: in 2026, B2B growth does not come from chasing every channel or trend. It comes from building clarity first, systems second, and scale last. A thoughtful go-to-market strategy helps startups create a repeatable path to revenue instead of relying on trial and error. If you found this helpful, subscribe to KonexusHub for more practical content on growth, tools, and business strategy. And check the links for more resources that can help you turn GTM planning into real execution.